Hi, Laura. Can you hear me? You don't have audio yet. Okay. Hey, Laura, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Happy New Year.
I'm doing, yeah, Happy New Year. We haven't talked in a while. Uh, at least I think you're the same Laura from Red Hat, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure you're not a different Laura. Um, uh, Hopefully your holidays were okay and your New Year's was fun, but somewhat uneventful. So
Yeah,
not anything too crazy. Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm still at the in-laws' house, so I
Ah,
think we're leaving sometime by Friday at the latest. Kids go back to school next Monday.
got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, mine started today, and it was rough getting up at 5:45 this morning
Oh wow. Yeah.
to get them to school. Hey, Bruno. Thanks for joining. Okay. Let me. Where's the chat? I'm looking for the chat. When I share my screen, I can't quite see all the features there. There it goes. Okay, so if you can sign in. Um, for today's agenda, um, I didn't have a whole lot. There were a couple of things that we did discuss. I can't unmute myself. Okay, yeah, no worries, Bruno. There were a couple of things that we talked about before the break, but we haven't had another supply chain integrity working group meeting or a SLSA meeting. And so the outcomes of those two meetings are going to be crucial to what we do this year. So we still are up in the air on roadmap for 2023, right? There's a lot of dialogue that has to happen, and there wasn't enough people on those two meetings the week before the break. And so we have to wait for those, but doesn't mean that we have to necessarily wait on doing things, just the majority of the stuff. Um, so one of the things that we talked about, Laura, is having more alignment with not only the supply chain integrity working group and having them give priorities, right? Like this is what we should be accomplishing, right? And then each of the working subgroups under supply chain integrity are all working towards that goal. And then if like SLSA is special because we have even subgroups under SLSA, and those three subgroups, tooling, specification, and positioning, that we should be working together more tightly because one group doesn't know what's happening with the other group, et cetera. So there needs to be more communication, more syncing, and more alignment on the vision. Because right now, the visions are not in the same direction. They're all looking, one's looking north, the other one's looking south, the other one's looking east and west. So that's at least my goal. And I think I got consensus from some of the folks on this call, as well as supply chain integrity and some of the SLSA, some of the folks that were on for the SLSA call, that they agreed, right? Let's try to go towards the same vision. But we need consensus across the different working groups. So questions on that, Laura?
No, that makes total sense. I know we've been struggling to get representation in all of the subgroups. And so something we're doing this month is we're coming up with a plan on how we can align our team objectives to all the various OpenSSF working groups. And so, and that way we can focus our efforts and have the right people in the right meetings.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's just, I know it's more internal stuff, but we're hoping to get more representation by making sure that our contributions, we're not just, flies in the wall. Actually contributing.
Yeah.
So.
Makes sense. I mean, I've not been to any tooling meeting. The first one was right before the break, and technically it should have been canceled. So like within 3 minutes it was canceled. So I was kind of sad. It was my first one of the year. But I can understand, right? It's very difficult for one person, let alone, a couple of people to make every single meeting. So that's one thing. The other thing that that we could start working on, one is the web page revamp, not web page revamp. There's a landing page on OpenSSF that, I forgot her name already. Looking, I think I have it in the notes. Where is it? Tracy Miranda. Working with Tracy Miranda to start that work. She might be back from vacation, so that's like number one on the list is reach out to Tracy. I think I'm writing Miranda for OpenSSF's landing page for SLSA. Because she reached out towards, I think in December sometime, to help us. So it's not gonna replace SLSA.dev. It's just, she showed us a OpenSSF SIG-store. This is the OpenSSF SIG-store landing page. And so she wants to create something very similar for SLSA. So we can start getting working on that. The other thing is around conferences and making, who was it? It was Laurent. Was it Laurent, Bruno?
Who?
Laurent. I think Laurent was the one that.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name as well.
Yeah. I think it was Laurent. I put it.
Let me see. It was in a Slack channel, right?
Yes, it was. I'm looking. I just saw a thread this morning because Josh responded. Laurent Simon.
Yeah.
Laurent, maybe is how you pronounce it. I might be butchering his name. Laurent Simon. I think he might be from Google. He is from Google. He was talking about, more participation, like which conferences are we aiming for? Again, that's that larger discussion. What's our vision? But we know that in Open Source Summit North America, which is in Vancouver this year, there's always a supply chain security con. OpenSSF has their own little thing. So that would be a good avenue, right, to present not only as a group about SLSA, but about different topics regarding SLSA. So I think we can brainstorm, right, on that. Like how many talks do we as positioning group, as an example, or SLSA in general as a core, how many talks do we want to submit, right? Who is going to be part of those talks? We can plan that because positioning is all about evangelism, right? We may not be the ones talking, but we can still help coordinate that in essence, right? Or trying to figure out can we have a SLSAcon, right? We would potentially organize that. So at the very least, we can start working on topics for OSSNA, which is in May, I think, this year. Let me see. Open Source Summit. Yeah, and think the call for proposals just went live right before the new year. Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
Yep, and Sunday, February 5th is the last day. So we'll definitely want to start focusing on that, like what topics we want to consider in terms of SLSA. So obviously there's a 1.0, right? 1.0 update, but that would probably be like Josh and Mark, right? Something like that. There could also be, I was thinking about this before the call, Salsa for Dummies, right? I feel like we could have a Salsa for Dummies session, right? That really like brings in the newbies. I find a lot of the times the salsa discussions are just too in depth.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand salsa, number one. And so first you have to sell it, then you can start diving deep into it. So potentially we can do a salsa for dummies. Not sure what other thoughts you all have on, you know, what can we do in terms of talks at conferences. It could be panel discussions as an example.
Yeah, I did a presentation during one of our security topics. I did like a salsa overview back in May. Shouldn't tell you that long ago. It was when I first started like dipping my toe in the water, and it actually helped a lot for folks who had never heard of salsa before. It's like I think
can you
actual
share
content
that?
is. I could, let me double check. I created it. I don't
Make
think
sure
it's
it's not
linked. Yeah, there might be. Yeah, there might be like one slide that I can scrub out. But when I say it's basic, it's like you're talking about, similar to what you're referring to as like this also for dummies. Like, what does it stand for? What does it mean? Like, how is it founded, and like what are the different levels? So I can, yeah, I can send it to you after I'll just make sure that it's okay to share after.
Yeah.
I think there's one slide that's specific to what does it mean to Red Hat, and I can take that out.
Yeah. Thoughts, Bruno?
Yeah, one thing that it's probably would be really useful. It's like, for example, kind of salsa hands-on, or to have a demo. Okay, let's show you how to implement. Let's go salsa level 2, level 3, whatever. And you put some tools and you demonstrate how to do it. Because when people have this sense on the tools together and working, reaching that level, okay, now I know how to apply my case. Otherwise, the conversation is a lot more in the abstraction layer.
Yeah, no, I love it. I am very much a hands-on person. If I can't physically do it myself, I have no idea what's happening. I need to learn by doing. So I'm with you right there. So yeah, we can have like a sample repo, right, that they can pull you know, an application from, and then doing, you know, how to protect, or how to be like what a salsa level 1 maybe looks like versus salsa level 2. And for salsa level 3 and 4, I think we might have to get creative in terms of like the ephemeral environments or something. So we could potentially do something like that.
Yeah, but even if you bring the people to say, well, this is salsa level 2, to add level 3, you can go and discuss, but you demonstrate already what it's the in the twin, the flow. Yeah.
Also, yeah. 1, 2, demo, and then salsa 3, 4. Things you could do, not 3/4. 3 and 4. 2. Okay, so I think that's a good one. It's also for dummies. This would be like, this, right? What's the business problem is trying to solve, right? Like, kind of like our blog, right? As a developer, why do I care,
Yeah.
right? Dev, why do I care? Maybe CISO, why do I care? Maybe there's like a couple of personas that you put on a slide or something. It's like this is why you care. And this is what it's going to help you with. And potentially we could have the blogs done by then. I don't remember when Mark, it's been a while since I've been to a specification meeting. I don't remember when spec 1 is due or when they want to launch.
I don't know.
So when is 1.0 launching? Because then we can have the blogs to reference, right? That they go more in depth per persona. But at least we can reference them in here in a talk like this. So I need to, can I add Mark? Nope, I cannot. I need to ask Mark, Josh, when are we launching 1.0? And this is the other thing, Laura, where we're trying to make sure that the SIG leads in SLSA are connected, right? We have no idea what each other's doing. So we need to be more in alignment, or at least have a representative from each of the groups be in each other's meetings so that they can carry the message back, kind of thing. Because once a month in the SLSA high level meeting is just not enough, right? So many things happen, so many things change. It's too late. Okay. Okay. What do we think about a panel discussion? What could we potentially, maybe the panel discussions would be organizations that have gone from level 1 to level 2 that are part of the SLSA community right now? Like we could, I think so. I think Aaron from Verizon.
Yeah, that's the only one that I remember.
I forget what but there's others because I've seen demos.
Yeah.
Panel discussion, like we could facilitate the questions, right? To say, what was it like going on your journey through XYZ, blah, 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 right? So we can do something like that.
Yeah, I know that it's internally at Intel. There is a discussion group about to implement SLSA as well, but I'm not sure that it's be prime time for that time frame.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that there's been efforts I know Red Hat had an effort, Laura. So it's possible that Red Hat could be part of the panel discussion. I know we have something internal, and I know that something was achieved in December. I just don't know. And I don't know if it's public yet.
Yeah.
So we can definitely try to figure that out, and then Intel will it be ready, right? So we can have like, 5. I'm guessing Google's going to want to be part of this.
Oh,
this
yeah.
panel. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw as well. I think that was Google Next. I think that was November last year. They announced that there is one services they have in the GCP that it's SLSA level 3. I don't know if you remember that, if you saw that.
I didn't get to look at it, but I saw Jay shared it with us. I remember it was in this meeting that he shared it. So I didn't get to look at it.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, because Google created SLSA initially, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like their lens, although it's valid, they started it, and so they had kind of a leg up, versus people that had their supply chain security or their pipelines kind of situated.
Yeah,
right?
because the product that they developed, that you have the developer desktop sitting in the cloud, and everything that you need, it's also in this bubble. That's the reason that we calling themselves SLSA level 3. But
Got
they didn't share enough details why they,
Got it.
because as far as I know, SLSA level 3, it's not well defined yet. That discussion that
It's
we have
not.
with Jay, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. We can say SLSA level version 0.1, right? So they were
Yeah.
like early adopters. Early adopters could be like Google,
Yeah.
right? But then I don't know what to call the rest. I mean, they're still early adopters, right? But they're really the company that started it. So let me take out early adopters. I'll have to think about how we want to word that, right? Because I know Verizon has one. I can see if the IBM folks want to talk to it. But I don't know. I'm not sure. And then I think Melbo Chuck. And Laura, will you be able to check for Red Hat?
Yeah, I can check for Red Hat. And this is for the deadline is February 5th for submissions. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so we don't have to have the content by February 5th. We just need to submit the proposal. And so if they do want to participate, or they know that they can share stuff, then it would be easy to just add them to the participant list. But I know a lot of times things get swapped in panel discussions. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal if, like, you know, one person from Red Hat was going to do it and then all of a sudden somebody else. I think it's more adding a new company might be difficult, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, will it be ready? And then I need to ask Aaron. Need to ask Aaron if he is willing to be part of the panel. Okay. What else? What other topics do we think we can talk about? I was starting to write it, and then I can't remember. I was confusing the acronym for the NIST cybersecurity SCRM, like cybersecurity supply chain risk management framework. It's the Microsoft thing that it's S2C2S. Is that right?
Oh,
I think it's S2C2F.
yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah. So that's going to be a good discussion. But it could also be less Fresca, right? Basically, this is a supply chain integrity working group session, right? You know, what it is, how it overlaps, etc. The other thing that I was just thinking as I was writing that, maybe there's a deep dive. Well, not a deep dive, a roadmap session. Do you think that would be helpful for people to see where we're going if we do, like, kind of align ourselves properly for 2023 to try to recruit more people to kind of join us and help out?
Yeah, if you have enough to fuel a session, yes. But I'm trying to figure out if it's not something that should be in another section, like, for example, Salsa for Dummies. Maybe another name, like a Salsa overview in the future. But just try not to create too many tracks.
Yeah, maybe that could be like the closing of that salsa overview. Talks about .next or
And actually, the roadmap could be technically a slide at the end of almost all of these talks, right? So roadmap. Okay. Roadmap slide. So we can add that to like all of these. Not the panel discussion though. Hands-on demo. And a roadmap slide. I think this is going to be like the vision / overlap for the SLSA, S2C2F and Fresca. Overlap. When to use one versus the other, which is part of the overlap, right? Like how do you, right? How do you use SLSA versus, when should you use SLSA versus S2C2F? And, you know, it's not Fresca, that's not how you pronounce it. Is it like this? Fresca, FRSCA? I think so. Yeah, FRSCA. What else do you think? I know they have those, they're not talks, but they're like ask me anything sessions or something. Or they're like kind of on the side. Where like you have the expert lounge or something like that and people talk about that topic. I'm not sure. I remember that because they had it at OSSNA in Austin here. And so we would have to have like expert lounge. We would have to have participant participant list, right? Basically volunteers to be present, right? So that anybody can, if there's an expert lounge, that is, right? But I remember there being one this past year.
So that's different than the panel discussion because it's like an open forum of like Q&A. Is that?
The expert lounge is more of like anybody can go. It's not a dedicated room just for that person. It's a room full of experts for different topics. And they had like a table sign that said what topic it was. And then you can just go to that table and you can just have a random conversation. And then other people can listen and then you can come and go as you please. That's what I remember it being. I don't remember why I know that. I just remember that I was there, but I don't remember who I asked or what I asked, but I was there. So if they do have one, that could be something to consider. What about, have either of you been to OpenSSF Day?
I have.
No.
It's usually I did it virtually. It's the day before Open Source Summit. I don't know if they're going to do it this year again, but it's literally just OpenSSF and like there's, you know, different presentations. So potentially either supply chain integrity working group or, you know, SLSA could have a talk. I just don't know what that talk would be. But I feel like there has to be one. I'll have to go ask. Will there be an OpenSSF Day? I forget who should I ask for that? Does anybody know? It's like, oh, what's his name?
Would it be like on the agenda? Is it attached to like the event
Oh.
itself, or is it like a separate?
Yeah, it's like a separate event. Like when you go to register, obviously I haven't
It's like
registered
micro.
for.
I don't know what this micro conference events are, but I wonder if it would fall under that category.
No, I don't see. Oh, let me look for Open SSF. Ooh. Is there another one? That's only one. Supply Chain Security Con. Yeah, last year when you registered for the event, you could register for OpenSSF during that. And so then your tag would say that you were registered for OpenSSF Day. But I never saw it on the website. The only reason why I found out was because somebody mentioned it on a SLSA meeting. And I'm like, this is really badly advertised. You would think that it would be on the main page, but it was not. So I don't know. And I don't think they have registration open yet. No, they don't. So I can't tell. Open source leadership. Oh, I wonder if it's this, or is this just a subtract? Yeah, it's just a subtract. So we'll have to ask. Maybe we ask the TAC. I think that maybe they make the decision.
They had this Linux Con, the precursor to Open Source Summit and the event for Linux developers.
Oh, where did you find that?
Linux Con. It says the precursor to Open Source Summit and the event for Linux, but that's for developers.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like what you're.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say, was it Jory? Jory. David Wheeler. Need to ask someone if it's being held again. I don't know if it was decided or not. So we'll have to ask. What other thoughts do you all have?
I am poking around this the OpenSSF Summit site. So no additional thoughts. Just we'll circle back around the next time we can with a name if we are going to be submitting for a panel as a panel member. Get that conversation going on this.
Yeah, it like tell us your journey. I'll just say tell us your journey. Right. I think this is good for now for the conference topics. Now we are on January 3rd, so I need to look at a calendar. Ask me later. Actually, this meeting wasn't on the calendar. It was on my calendar. So maybe there might be a reason why some people aren't here. Which beg, is there other? Oh, there's not one for next week.
Yeah,
Or Okay.
I don't have in my agenda as well for next week. That is another point.
Okay. Okay.
Is this one's bi-weekly though, right?
This working session one is one of the things I wanted to do was do a new vote for positioning time day to see to see if this time and day still works for people. I know originally this was not the majority time. The majority time was another day, another time, but there was one or two individuals that they wanted to include because they participate a lot. And so they decided on this time. So I think we need to do like a new vote for time and day. So I'll have to ask Mark to help me out with that survey he did last time. And then create a calendar invite for next week. Okay, so these are to-dos. I didn't notice. I saw it in pink and I just didn't think, I really did not think about it. And until I just unclick this, I'm like, oh, we're technically not supposed to be meeting. So now I feel bad. This, I think, was it the 3rd? Sunday, February 5th. So in reality, the 3rd, January 3rd is kind of the last day that we could, you know, work as a group during business hours kind of thing. 3, 4. I would think that's enough to create those proposals. When would we want to have the first draft? Do we think, oh, I'm in the wrong month, hold on. Do we want to have the first draft by the 24th? Or do you think that's too late, too early? Because the 3rd doesn't give us much runway.
Yeah,
Which is,
I think 24, it's the right time. So this doesn't work, we still have time.
yeah, it's like a week and a half
Yeah.
almost. Okay, so week and a half. First draft, 124. Okay, and then submit.
So we would submit it as one, or if we were doing something as a panel, would we have to submit that separately?
No, so the panel discussion, when you go to sign up for a talk, it'll ask you if it's a panel discussion or not, and who are the other attendees.
Okay.
So it'll ask when you go to submit.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, wait, let me see. Position. Review, final review. How do we want the final review to be done by the 31st? Because there might be changes that have to be made by the 3rd.
Yep.
Okay. Deadline by 1/31. Submission 1/3. Oh, 2/3. That look okay. Okay, so what? So I think that's good. Dates to remember. Schedule announcement March 14th. And then if the topic is chosen, right, mid-March, we would know if it's a go or no go. I still think some of these topics are good to still develop. Maybe for other conferences, even if it doesn't pan out, we could still reuse the material. In my mind, right? We would probably prioritize some over the others. Like I think the SLSA hands-on demo is a really good one. Like if we were to record it, like different YouTube videos or something, to say, hey, you know, let's go through it this time or with this repo, try to do it on your laptop, go with this repo, try to do it on your laptop. So we could potentially still do something like this. I know they have code for SLSA. It's like a SLSA demo, but it doesn't really walk you through it unless there's something I'm missing. There might be a blog somewhere that I didn't see, but it would be good to have, like, you know, a demo kind of like for dummies, also for beginners and things like that, right? So okay. Any other thoughts or concerns, questions? I need to reach out to Tracy. No? Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then we can end today's meeting early. I'll probably go and see if Tracy's available on Slack and start reaching out to her for this OSSF landing page.
Yeah, I will, and I'm noticing now that everything is branded for the overview. Yeah, I made a copy of it, so I'll take a stab at just like making it a more generic slide deck. And I'll, do you guys use Google Slides, Google Doc?
Yeah, you can just post it somewhere and then you can send us a link.
Okay, yeah, I'll work on cleaning it up, and before we meet again, have a copy for you guys.
Awesome.
You can just build on it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks folks for joining. Happy New Year, and hope you're nice and refreshed for the rest of your workday.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.